Welcome everyone to this month's Looking at Louisville. My name is Chaz.
And I'm Stacy.
Now we're here at the Frazier International History Museum, and we're also going to be venturing out to Churchill Downs as well as to the Speed Art Museum. And you may be saying, well, that's great, Chaz, but why? Well, why, Stacy?
Well, Chaz, in addition to Valentine's this month, also it's Black History Month, so we wanted to salute that and take you to two of Louisville's top attractions that we wanted to see in podcasts anyway, but they are doing very special exhibits in honor of Black History Month, and those are the Speed and the Frazier. The Speed's going to have a G's Bend quilt exhibit, which we'll take a look at, and the Frazier has a very exciting exhibit. I think it will be very moving, and it's actually going on through May, and it's called The Wreck of the Henrietta Marie, and it's a recovered slave ship.
Well, we're going to be doing that, going to those locations, and we're going to go to Churchill Downs and find out about African Americans in the Kentucky Derby. So a lot of great information. And, you know, these podcasts are for you. So if you have an idea for an upcoming podcast, please send those to podcast@gotolouisville.com. If we can use your content in our show, we'll send you some cool swag about Louisville.
That's right. And in honor of Valentine's Day, we will be celebrating at one of Louisville's most romantic spots, high atop the Galt House Hotel at RIVUE. So, as usual, I'm hungry. I think we need to get started.
We got to get started because I'm starting to get hungry too.
Right,
Let's go.
We are here at the Frazier International History Museum, and we are lucky enough to get a chance to talk to its executive director, Dr. Madeleine Burnside. Madeleine, thanks for having us here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming.
We come to the Frazier a lot for its normal permanent collection exhibits, but you've got a very special exhibit that's coming through the doors until... Tell me a little about it.
Well, it is very special. It's actually something that I've personally worked on for, well, since 1991, so a long time. It's the wreck of the Henrietta Marie. The exhibition's called A Slave Ship Speaks, and it is, in fact, it's the remains of the only excavated slave ship in the New World. The thing about it is that these are the only artifacts that really exist that you can see from the actual Middle Passage. So in terms of African American history, this is really significant because these are real objects from this real experience.
And people can come to the Frazier and experience this until when?
It closes on May 26th,
okay.
So there's a lot of time, but don't let it slip away. The thing that you see here is every wooden ship of this time period, of course, keeping it watertight is the main deal. So you see all these ship's fasteners here. You see different tools that were used, but the principal thing was this grindstone. If you couldn't keep those tools sharp, you couldn't keep the ship afloat. And there are actually instances of ships that went down because their grindstone broke. So these are the shackles that were found on the shipwreck site. And the thing about it is, when they found the ship, they didn't know it was going to be a slave trader at all. They knew it was English. And they found the first pair of shackles, and they didn't think much of it because there are shackles always on ships of this time period. Because when you hear the pirate in the movie say, "Clap 'em in irons," that's what they're talking about. This is what they look like. So they found 3 pairs, and they thought, well, that's pretty standard. But then they kept finding more and more. They actually found evidence of 100 pairs, which implies 200 enslaved people, at least.
Yeah, because that looks like a child right there.
And that looks like a child size. Some of them are very, very small. And it's very, it's the most connotative object because you can see the restraint. But the thing, it's so hard to sort of look at this day after day when we were working on the exhibition.
It is hard to look at.
But what you started to think about was actually there's no reason to restrain someone who isn't fighting back. So it said that even a very small person was resisting and fighting back, and you just think how extraordinary to be so brave and strong in such a difficult circumstance. And I think that's in a way a message of hope.
We are here at the Speed Art Museum with a good friend of mine, Lonna Versluys, and she's going to tell us a little about a great exhibit that they've got on display until March.
And Stacy, thanks for coming out. Through March, we have an exhibition, G's Bend, the Architecture of the Quilt. And these quilts are created by 4 generations of women living in isolation in a small place called G's Bend, Alabama. Most of the inhabitants of G's Bend are descendants of slaves, and they passed down the tradition of quilting. And what's really unique about these quilts is they have They use incredible geometrical shapes. They look so modern, and yet they're not. They take their patterning and all from tradition. There are about 47 quilts on display made by 42 women. You can see actually when you look at some of the quilts how you can see the use, because these were functioning pieces. These were meant to keep their families warm, and they used materials that were either discarded or what they had around the house. So you really see a lot of different patterning and just different textures.
Thank you. Be sure to come to the Speed Art Museum to check out the G's Bend exhibit through March.
We're here at Churchill Downs, of course, which is famous for the Kentucky Derby, and I'm here with John Asher. Now, John, tell us the impact of the African Americans on the Kentucky Derby.
The Kentucky Derby is America's oldest continuously held sports event. It's been held every year since 1875. This year will be 134 years. And really the foundation for the Derby was really laid with the strength of African American athletes and trainers. 13 of the first 15 Kentucky Derbies were won by African American jockeys, including 3 jockeys who are among the greatest who ever been in the saddle at any era in our sport. Isaac Murphy won 3 Kentucky Derbies in the Hall of Fame. He was really the Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that's
of his
right.
era.
Yes, you said he was the Michael Jordan.
He was the most prominent African American athlete, probably the first half of the 20th century, to be honest with you. He was a remarkable athlete who died too soon, died in his 30s, but won 44% of his races in his career, and again, 3 Kentucky Derby wins in that group. Also in that Hall of Fame group, Willie Sims, he was 2 for 2 in the Kentucky Derby, and Jimmy Wingfield, who was really a mythic character almost in thoroughbred racing. He won 2 Kentucky Derbies, then rode abroad. Also, African American trainers had a huge impact on the Kentucky Derby. The very first Derby was won by a horse named Aristides, ridden by an African American rider, Oliver Lewis. But the trainer was Ansel Williamson, who's also in the Hall of Fame. And Ed Brown, who was a protege of Williamson's, he won 2 Kentucky Derbies. He's also in the Hall of Fame. In the early years, especially the very, very early years of thoroughbred racing, they were the absolute stars of the sport.
And if anybody wants any more information, of course, they can go to KentuckyDerby.com, not only about the trainers and the jockeys, but of course the world's greatest race, the Kentucky Derby, which is coming up real soon. Now let's talk about RIVUE. Of course, Valentine's Day is the month of February, and of course, I gave you that CD, Lover. Yeah. It's breaking my heart.
Every night.
Yeah, no you don't. Well,
and this is a great spot.
It is a wonderful spot.
My husband and I love coming here to the bar for drinks, and dinner's great too, but I mean, it's just a great view. It's Louisville's only rooftop dining. It's a great spot. We're
going to bring in a very special guest to the couch, and this is Thad, the general manager, so Thad, come on up.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Welcome, everybody.
Now,
tell us about some of this food we've got here.
We have 2 awesome selections from our regular menu and 1 special item. We have our seared scallops. Those are done with pureed yellow and red pepper and pureed asparagus, one of the top sellers on the. You had that one before.
And this one right here?
And this one, crab cakes, and that's done with a smoked pepper aioli. And then our chef's special of the evening is sautéed escargot. You like escargot?
I don't know, but can we say?
I do.
Okay, you can do that. This isn't
And
for
tell us about these gorgeous drinks.
We of course have our signature Sunrise RIVUE. That is a mango vodka concoction with a little bit of puree of berry in the bottom, and the Blue RIVUE, which of course is a blueberry vodka drink.
Now, I understand that you still have openings for Valentine's Day, but even if you don't, February is
our
about.
Yeah, for February we are celebrating romance the entire month. We have special packages here in the hotel, so if you can't make it down for dinner with us during the week of Valentine's Day, by all means, the whole month, you can come and enjoy us and come up and see us in the restaurant.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Great. Well, I'm
Our
hungry,
pleasure.
so in fact.
You ready to dig in?
Yeah, let's
Yes.
go.
And as always,
You're looking at Louisville.
see you real soon.
Cheers.